Okay, so very rarely do I ever do like a video recording for a reading, but I figured it'd probably be helpful for you. Um, just that way you're able to see the cards, right, and also interpret based on whatever resonates with you, just because you might see something that I don't see, right? And so the first cards that I pulled for you, as I mentioned, I like to read in pairs. It's not the most traditional way of reading tarot, but it makes sense for me. And so I tried to go ahead and pull based on energy and trying to pull advice. And then usually what happens is that like the tarot cards will tell me something that, resonates with your present state. So maybe like the situation that you're currently in. Now, as somebody that is connected with you, when I read your tarot cards, I usually will do it from like a place of trying to not be biased or not assume certain situations. So the way that I word things might sound a little funny, but it's only because I want you to be able to make your own conclusions and things that might resonate with you, just because I can't assume that I know every single thing about your life, right? Just because I talk to you every day. But it's all very like dependent on whatever strikes you. And so, for example, like these two cards here, right? We're looking at the Seven of Cups and the Page of Cups. So anything cups related usually has to do with love and romance, right? And it could be that you're in a pretty, wishful thinking like state, potentially feeling like you've met a twin flame, feeling like you might have one too many options to choose from. And that's very much what this card's about here. So having too many options and not knowing which cup to choose, and sometimes, even having like a snake in one of the cups might kind of seem like there's an option that maybe you pretty much know that you don't want to go with, but always being kind of concerned that you're going to pick a cup and maybe being concerned that you're picking the wrong one. Now, having it to do like with Scorpio, anything Scorpio related has to do with change and transformation and transitioning. And so it seems like you're very much in this transformative energy that's going to be very based on feeling and emotion. That has to do with water. That's what the blue background is here too. It all has to do with romance, love, feelings, right? And then you have the Page of Cups energy, which usually is somebody who has like a childlike sense of wonder. I know it sounds kind of funny, but any Page Cup has to do with not not having experience in a certain field and being okay with jumping into the unknown, knowing that you don't have all the answers. Now, also water flowing in the background, right? This one's also related to earth, which to me, anytime I see anything earth related, kind of means like you have all these ideas that are kind of floating in your head or maybe in your heart, and you're trying to find some way to ground them, right? And trying to figure out that balance. Now, another way to interpret tarot reading too, which I tend to do, is when you physically look at the cards, you could see that there's this person here, back turned, right, continuously looking at his options. But then at some point, this person we see front facing, having finally selected a cup. And so it looks like to me, you're being presented with too many options, right? Potentially love related, because we see new love here. And at some point, or maybe you're currently in this state, that you've made a decision, right? Knowing that you might be completely inexperienced in this field. But something from me tells me that you're in this feeling here of being concerned, being worried, having a sense of anxiousness, just because you're going based on pure intuition here, right? So that's always a little bit scary, and I can understand that. Now, the other two cards I pulled, I haven't pulled any more yet, but I'll go ahead and pull more. I just kind of wanted to test out like this video format, so you can tell me if it works for you. So we have the Four of Swords. Four has a lot to do with stability. Right now, it looks like you're in a position of where you're looking for a new start. Now, you'll notice that the way that I'm reading the cards, I'm very selective with the words that I'm choosing, just because it's whatever's on the card. But the way that I know what words to say is because it's the word that kind of catches my eye first, and that's kind of how I do my readings too. So it's whatever word kind of strikes up to me. So we have all these words, right? And so for me, what sticks out is going to be new start and reflection, but withdrawal also. So it seems to me like you're kind of hitting this point where you feel very withdrawn from like the place that you're in the physical world, right? Where you're kind of looking inward and maybe even not antisocial, but maybe just a little bit more quiet than you usually are. That way you can take the time to kind of reflect and figure out what your situation is, right? But you are definitely in a resting pose. It seems like The way that I'm interpreting this card here, right, is that you have other people in this situation, right? Because we have two people here in this window that are observing you. And it's almost like they're wondering, like, what's wrong with this person, right? Like, what's wrong? What's their current situation? Why are they so withdrawn? Why are they so quiet? And everybody's just kind of watching to see what your next move will be. Now, the three swords, for me, the way that I interpret this card, we have three swords, one going into the mind, one going into the heart, and one going into the belly. Which, when you think about it in terms of like chakras, right, you have the, like your third eye opening here, right? You have your heart chakra, and then you have your sacral, your solar plexus chakra, which has to do with finding self-empowerment and self-power. So it's almost like these are the three things that you're working on. And then here, you're kind of finding a sense of alignment and finding that place where they all meet. That's how I interpret this card. Now, this is an air sign card. This is a Libra card. So anything sword related usually has to do with making swift moves and swift judgment. But as you can see, like, this is all about kind of taking your time to where you're ready to move on to things, right? Because you don't want to fuck up any sense of instability, right? I can understand that. So like here, resting, all the work is being done internally, right? No one can see the actual work that's being done, but you're golden. You have a light within you that's kind of showing up in this card here. That's how I take it. Now the other pair card, also the number 3, right? And if you can tell here, you have the technically 3 people here, and then you have 3 people here, right? So I almost take it as like, and you'll notice that I pause a little bit when I'm going back and forth and like pulling up these readings, and it's because I'm interpreting in real time. So they're watching you, and in watching you, it's almost like everything is kind of flipped, right? There's like a sense of people's world being turned upside down, right? Maybe you're showing signs of like personality changes, or something in you has changed, and it's this light here that sort of is making people wonder, like, like, what is this person working on? What's happening there, right? And air, when you think about it, like anything related to air is a very like, it's a catalyst, right, for a lot of different things, right? Like air can help start fire, air can help make waves, right? And so in terms of the elements, it's a very transformative card. And I feel like this transformation that you're going through, I'm going to take that scream outside as validation for what I said. So I'm going to say that that's what that is, right? You're in this very transformative energy. And if you want to see this card in the upright, right, this is the 3 of Pentacles, and it's all about cooperation and teamwork, right? You have one person here. Kind of funny how like the yellow kind of stands out for me here. And this person, it almost looks like this here. They're getting their light as a reflection of whatever's happening here. Every time I see these cards, I interpret them a little bit differently, right? But this is a very collaborative card, but we have it here in the reverse, right? So it's almost like you're taking your own power back. You're taking your light back for yourself, because I almost feel like this is you here. A lot of the blue resonates with a lot of the blue that's here. Also, even here, when you see, you're going very emotion based, right? It's almost like you kind of wrapped yourself in your intuition and your emotion, and you're making a decision based on that, because whatever is in the cup, I think it's a fish, is also blue, right? And so it's almost like, it's not, I don't really resonate with the words that are on this card here, but I do resonate with isolation, in the sense that, yeah, you are very withdrawn, and you're pulling back, and you're taking you're taking your own power back, taking your own light back. And I sense that that's like the direction that you do need to go in, right? I take yes in the very affirmative, and I don't think it's purely coincidental that you have 2 maybe cards in like the first phase, and then transitioning into very yes options here, right? So it's almost like you've made a decision, right, where you're taking your own power back and taking things for yourself that belong to you, things that it's not that you're owed, but things that were always yours, and you're kind of taking them back for yourself. And that's a very beautiful energy when you think about it. Also here, if we're gonna look numerically, right, we have the number 7 here. We also have the number 7 here, right? If you take 4 plus 3, that's 7. any page card is like a 0 card because there's endless opportunities. I'm gonna pull more cards here. Okay, so we have, let me move these out of the way. Okay. Okay, so this is different energy. Also going from yes to maybe instead of maybe to yes. And this is exciting energy for me because the sun, anything having to do with the sun has a lot to do with illumination and light, right? And here we have it in the reverse, which if you do 9 plus 1, which is the number for the sun, right? You're talking about the ending of a cycle. So you're ending a cycle that's one of, low vitality and maybe some temporary struggles. Now, in the upright, this card has this very, childlike energy, kind of, riding into the sun or whatever, right? Going into the future, all is well. Oh, there you go, all is well, right? And it seems here like you're wrapping up this cycle of this very kind of low energetic time, and you're transitioning into this Queen of Swords energy. Now, there are no genders in tarot per se, but everybody has a divine masculine and a divine feminine type of energy, right? Oh, sorry, and just to further validate that this is for you, this is fire sign energy, and you're a Leo, and you're a fire sign, so this is very much your card. Very indicative of like the time that you're entering now. Now, going into kind of validating what we were saying earlier, right, about water and air, right? So you're in this state of like making decisions, right? Being very clear-headed. Although like head is up in the clouds, it seems like you're grounded, right? So you're grounded, but you're very high functioning in this time of like high level consciousness. You sort of ascended into like this new state of your life where like you're able to take note of your emotions, right? But also very, very sure in the decisions that you're making and being very straightforward. And I feel like this energy of like the yes and maybe goes from like yes, like this almost like this was like a period in your life where this was a very long phase that you were kind of living in. And now you've entered into this new energy that maybe is not very known to you, right? It might even be somewhat foreign, which is why you have this maybe energy, trying to figure out like how to work in this new energy that you're in where you're very decided, right? Very decided in the things that you're looking for. Just because this is the Queen of Swords doesn't mean, right, that you're acting as a feminine. It's just very much like in the sense that being very direct and communicative, having these boundaries resonates with this particular major arcana in the deck. Major arcana and minor arcana are like are terminologies that you can use like for the tarot in regards to like the signs. Ooh, Queen of Cups energy. Oh, okay, so we have 2 cards. Thank you. Oh, that's a very nice card. So I've shuffled my deck several times. Now you should know that, hold on, let me like pull this back. This is very interesting. So normally, as I said, like I pull sets like in 2, and then I'll have a clarifier card. This is a very sweet reading. So I shuffle my deck several times, and when I say I shuffle, I probably shuffled the cards 7 or 8 times. It's very rare to pull sets that correlate to one another, such as these. There are several of these in the deck, right? There's the King and Queen of Cups, Swords, Wands, and gosh, I'm missing the other, Pentacles. Right now, these are the King and Queen of romance here in love. And this is a new opportunity that's kind of blossoming within them. So it's almost like the way that I'm interpreting this is whoever you have in your life at this moment, who you see as the Queen of Cups character, somebody who's compassionate, somebody who uses a lot of their intuition, right? But this is very much like a water sign energy. So this is all about emotion, right? Now, being that we see like Cancer and Gemini here kind of stands out to me in terms of like time. I have to go ahead and look to see what months these resonate in, but I know Cancer is July. I know Gemini is typically like May, right? I think like May 22nd or something like that. So I'll have to do the research on it. But for me, this almost like represents like a time frame. But it's almost like you found this person, or maybe like this new project that you might be working on. Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles has a lot to do with opportunities. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, mainly having to do with finance, right? But this could be something work related. It could be a person. It could be whoever, whatever you want it to be, however it resonates with you. But having it be the number one kind of shows that you're being presented with this opportunity here that's right in front of your face. And it's there if you want it. Now, obviously, like based on like the way that this is done, you can see that you're looking at it from like a distance. So you have to make the journey to get there, but it's right in your face if you want it, is very much how I take it. Now, Pentacles, as I mentioned before, has to do with earth sign energy, and it's all about grounding, right? So you see how like this opportunity here is kind of is up in the sky and it's all floating upward, and it's almost like you're in a place where it's there, you just have to find a way to bring it back down. But it looks like it's something that's almost practically impossible to bring down because it's so huge and you're far away from it, as you could tell distance wise here just from the card. Very yes energy here. Now it looks like this is a clarifier card that pulled out. Promise I didn't do this on purpose. But you have the King and Queen of Cups. So this is like a married pair in the deck, right? And so it's almost like in finding this opportunity, you feel like it's kind of taking you to this different state of your life where like instead of being the Queen of, Swords, well, maybe not the Queen of Swords, maybe the Page of Cups energy that we saw earlier, that this opportunity or this situation here is helping you transition into this King of Cups energy. So someone who's balanced, supportive, kind of helping you grow into like a better version of yourself. And this is all just very much like water energy. As much as I don't want to take it as like a romantic reading, it does seem that it's coming out that way. But yes, it looks like that's what this is here. Now, the number 1 in tarot has a lot to do with just new beginnings, new opportunities, beginning of a new cycle. And you already had 0 there, which is like limitless, endless opportunities. So that's a really exciting time for you. I think so. Oh wait, is there another card here that's pulled out? Do you see it? Looks like it's flipped. That's weird. It wasn't flipped, but I don't know why I felt like I had to pull these cards. Okay. That was interesting. I don't know why I did that. I was just about to shuffle cards. But those cards stood out to me. I don't know why that happened. I'm sorry. But I'm going to take it as part of your reading. Okay. How interesting. Again, the same correlation of like Page to King. Number 6 is like the number of like balance and movement. Balance and movement, but the energy of Scorpio is all about transformative. The card that's indicative of Scorpio in the tarot deck is the Death card. Now, the Death card doesn't represent death per se, but it represents the ending of a cycle to the beginning of a new cycle. It's all very transformative. Now, this is typically like a really nice card. It all has to do with like thinking about the past and thinking about the really good times. Now, 6 of Cups, right? So you have these cups here, right? And then you have someone giving someone else their cup. Now, I'm trying to interpret this card, and this is a card that I don't really pull that often. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm studying it as I go. White flowers for me prove a lot of innocence. So this could be a child here. I mean, this is very childlike energy. Yeah, childhood. And it's almost like I'm taking this as you. For me, you're coming up a lot in the sense of blue. I don't know if you noticed that, but the King of Cups is blue. The Page of Cups has blue. Palom's on my shoulder and she's tapping a bunch of times, so I'm going to take that. But then this is also a part of you here. You see that? This person on the card. It's like a part of you, this person. I'm gonna take that as your son, to be honest. That's very much like the energy that it gives. You see how you have like an abundance of cups and you want to give your cup to someone else. It's a very sweet card. Like wanting to give the best parts of yourself to someone. And I don't know, but I feel like that might be... I typically don't like insert like situations that I'm familiar with in tarot reading, but just the fact that, you know, it's like such a youthful spirit, blonde, little, a part of you. I'm like, I feel like that's your son there. But it's almost like you're doing everything that you can to make sure that you can give your child everything you can. Like all the good times, all the memories, right? All the, like the purest parts of you are the parts that you want to give, to share. Healing, right? That makes sense. This is a very sweet card. And then pulling here with like the Page of Swords energy. And seeing as how, like, for me, I'm interpreting this as like, since I'm interpreting this as your son, I almost feel like this is the person that he's become, and that you're kind of watching him blossom into this entirely new energy where, like, there's always blue in the picture. You see what I mean? He stands tall. He's able to make decisions here. Very energetic. Yeah, just very... This is such a great transition here, going from, like, this child to, like, this very youthful, like, young adult, like, energy, where there's so much happening around and not knowing which direction to go, but knowing that he's ready for it. That's a very beautiful card. This is very beautiful here. He stands tall. You might be able to hear Paloma like cleaning her feathers, sorry. It's just because she wouldn't stop singing. It almost gives me like the energy of like the Fool. And the reason why I say that is because if you ever look at the card for the Fool, he's in a very similar stance where he's almost like standing like on this edge of a cliff and like looking like he's going to step off the cliff, but it's a very, you know, brave energy, very much like a stepping into the unknown. And that card actually also has a number 0. A lot of these transitional cards that we're like going into, I want to say that this one came out in the in the reverse. These all don't have numbers related to them. It's almost like this is like a new stage in all the lives that, like, this is all the people that show up here. It's all starting from 0. No one has the upper hand here. No one. Everyone's starting fresh. Everyone's starting from scratch is very much like the energy that I get. That's a really interesting reading. I wasn't expecting to have such an interesting reading. Now the King of Swords. It's almost like I feel like you're in this headspace of like, and I feel like this is you because of the blue, right? And being that we have 2 people here, and it's almost like we're seeing how these people have transformed from this state and how you see that. And even then, very relative, King of Swords, Page of Swords, right? So like almost like a younger version of you. And I almost feel like, I don't know how to explain this without, it's almost like you feel like in the transition of like these years, right? He's developed into this person that you're incredibly proud of, and you can see all the parts of you that have helped phase this person, right? And how you're very much there, but you're in a place where maybe you haven't felt like yourself in a while. Maybe it's almost like, because I don't like using the word manipulative or ruthless, loss of, I don't believe that that's what any of this means. And I do feel like this is related to you, especially because it is the Fire card and you're a Leo. But it's almost like I feel like you're very much in this headspace of like Am I using my abilities to help him grow? Am I doing enough? Am I doing what I can? Am I providing the best parts of myself still? Sorry, to help this person become a better version of themselves? Am I giving all the resources? Have I, like, who have I become in this transition? I'm watching him grow, and he's like a reflection of me, and are all those parts of him still in me? And did I give the best parts of myself? And it's like a very almost like nostalgic but also like anxious and worried kind of energy of like, did I do it? Did I do it all? Like, is there anything else I have to do? Am I missing anything? Right? And it's kind of just like hoping that you've done what you can to help this person in this long journey that they have to go on. Now, I need you to know that I did ask for advice in these cards, and for some reason the cards are just doing their thing, and so I'm just doing what I can. Well, it seems like you're very pensive, right? You have this it's a very concerning energy of being left out in the cold, or feeling like you're leaving people out in the cold, right? I take this as like, I almost take it like if you're looking at it this way. You have this person inside the house, almost like watching these two people outside. And then this person's being handed this opportunity, but they're too busy reflecting to be able to notice that opportunity because they're so focused on this. You see what I mean? And it's a loss that feels like it's happening because we're going from 5 to 4. This is a very painful card because it feels like you're watching things happen and like you don't have it's like you're watching these things happen and you're sort of like, what can I do to help? What can I do to make things better? What can I do to make this easier? Yeah. And how funny that this, not funny, but I mean funny in terms of like the image from the way that I'm interpreting it, that it's like going from 5 to 4, but then also looking, and it's even worse because you see that there's 3. Not even seeing that there's a fourth cup. So you feel like you're losing much more than what you truly are. I'm not sure if you can see what I mean there. That you're watching these things happen, and then there's 4 cups in this picture, but you technically only see 3. So you feel like you're losing much more than you are because you don't see that there is an opportunity that's coming in. Or you don't know whether you're ready to take on this opportunity, right? Not knowing whether you're ready to take on this opportunity and grab the cup and put it down, because then that means that you're watching this happen and kind of doing something self-serving. Does that make sense? I hope that resonates. Also, this has a lot to do with money here, right? Anything having to do with pentacles. And then it's almost like the way that I see it, right, is feeling almost like a sense of not only like, am I doing the right thing, but like making a choice. These are totally different energies, right? This is the 5 of Pentacles and then the 4 of Cups. So going from something very grounded like money and finance and anything having to do with earth side, right? And then working with emotion, right? And the way that for some reason I keep seeing it is like here, right? And so it's almost like doing something self-serving from like a higher conscious point, like a higher part in your life, in your world, right? Coming from a place of like where your mind and heart are up here, and because everything is going well up here and you're looking down at the ground, right? Not down in a sense of like, you know, superiority, but like looking down and seeing that the ideas that you have that are all up here and seeing what's actually happening, you know, earth side, whatever is actually happening in the physical world, right? And you're like, I'm sitting here and everything's bright and happy and Everything feels good. Groundedness, right? It's cold. It's dark, right? These are very painful cards, babe. It's like a sense of like you're feeling good and you're worried about causing grief, right, to those around you, but everything feels really good here, right? It's so bright, it's so pretty, and it's like a sense almost of like, is this right? Like, is this okay to feel this good at the expense of this, causing this, right? Looking at this, that people are currently here and I'm up here, is that okay? And that's kind of what I feel like you've been thinking about, right? Because you're so focused on it that this opportunity here is kind of lingering, right? And it's like, hey, this cup's here for you, but you can't look at it right now because you're too busy, right? Which that totally makes sense. I can totally see that. I mean, if that's like the state of mind in which you're in, that's a very difficult position to be in, right? I almost feel like this is like where your advice is coming in. Now, the Knight of Pentacles in the upright is a slow-moving knight. The thing about knights is that they're very loyal, right, to a certain cause, right? They fight for their kingdom, whatever. Now, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, still same type of energy of like being slow-moving and being methodical, right? This is normally what this card means. But when it's in the reverse, it's like being so methodical to a point where it's almost like moving so slow that it feels like no progress is being made, right? And then having an opportunity that you're walking over that you can't make movement on just because it's not about laziness, but it's just about the fact that there's so much thinking that's happening that it's slow moving to the point where it feels like it might not be moving. Once again, I feel like this is you because it's in the blue. Now the Tower card, also, I feel like this is you, right? This is two people. This is all about change. Now, the Tower card has a lot to do with like shaken foundations, of course, but the way that I also interpret this is that in order to have a tower, someone has to build it, right? So this is almost like this is a man-made obstacle here, right? This is a man-made building, a man-made thing. So it could be that this is an obstacle that you feel like you might have created for yourself, or something that is in your life that you've helped build that is now being shaken and torn down, right? And also number 7 here, right? 1 + 6. So it could be that this might be happening in July. It could be that 7 weeks, 7 months, 7 years, right? However you feel like this might be, but it's almost like this is like a change that maybe you weren't anticipating to happen or anything expected to happen. Now Mars has a lot to do with war, right? And aggression. And I don't think that that's very much like your energy, but I do see it here happening where there's like this man-made division, right? Two people, and it's very much like a aggressive kind of behavior, and you can see that they're falling out of this building, and it's a very chaotic type of feeling, right? Because there's no sense of control in something that's kind of falling apart here, that's falling apart at the seams, and everyone is just kind of flying out and to each their own, right? I do see the 2 of Cups here, which is all about like the start of a new relationship. Now, as far as it being like romantic, that's very possible, but it could also be a relationship with yourself. And as I take it, because this reading is about you and not necessarily about romance, right? I take it a lot as like you building a relationship with yourself, right? Like building a partnership with yourself in the sense of like, here's the blue, right? Here's the fire side of you, right? I'm not really sure why I said that. But it's almost like unifying these 2 parts of yourself, right? Like the emotion and the logic, the emotion and the passion, right? Like just merging these 2 parts of yourself to become who you need to be. And I don't think it's purely coincidental that this card pulled up, because I do see the lion here, and that's symbolic for you because you're a Leo. Your animal is technically the lion, and it's almost like in order for you to become your true self, You have to align these two parts of yourself instead of thinking in just one way or thinking of the other, but kind of weaving these two parts of you to become the best version that you can be, right? And so the way that I see it though, I do see that there's so much like light around you. Like I've been feeling that you have so much light around you, like helping guide you during this time. And like, which card? None. Yeah, I feel like this is very much like your advice situation now, which is like, be fearless, be ambitious, right? Move in whichever way you think you need to move in, being fast thinking, right? Kind of going into like the unknown and not knowing which way, just charging at something and not seeing the other end of it is completely fucking terrifying, right? In whichever situation this might be. But this is all air energy. This is all about pushing things to happen and acting quickly and swiftly and making decisions and cutting things out that no longer serve you. Now, I don't take this as a transitional card. I take this as like a different part of a reading. I feel like also number 7 again, 7 of Pentacles, right? Having all these ideas and trying to ground them. Also worried about finances. This is somebody who's putting in a lot of work, right? This is also you again, a lot of blue, putting in a lot of work, right? And kind of, it's not work with no results, but it's almost like, if this is a state of mind, it might be like, is this work worth it, right? Is all this challenge going to be worth the reward, right? Because I don't see anything happening. It doesn't feel like anything's happening, right? And it kind of feels like everything's kind of topsy-turvy, right? Everything's flipped. And if you think about it like in a circular, like from like the circular perspective, everything is gonna fall, right? And so it feels like things might feel out of your control or out of balance. But also like from a sense of like perfectionism, right? Like if you're thinking about perfectionism from earlier, it's doing all this work and then feeling like, why are not things not happening? And it's very much of like a, I almost feel like this is like like assuring you, like, yeah, like plans fall apart, right? Things happen, we play it safe. And this is like a result of like things playing it safe. And the reason why I feel like this is an advice card is because this isn't you. This is like a red fire energy, right? So it's almost like I feel like your guides are saying like, yeah, like these things happen when we play it safe, right? When we play it safe, it feels like things are not moving. But this could be you, right? Like this could totally be you because it's in you, right? I feel like that's part of like the merging of like the two personas that need to happen, right? Like it's like it's very possible for you to have the things that you want. It's just that in doing so, it's not going to look the way that you probably want it to look. And if you wait for the day that things kind of look in, you know, the way that you want them to be, right? It's just probably going to take longer than you'd like, is how it's showing here, right? I think that's what the procrastinate thing means here, right? But it's not about a lack of long-term vision or anything. It's more so coming from like doing all the preparation and all this work and not seeing the result of the things that you're doing. But I do see that you're in this place of, you know, starting from the very beginning, the Ace of Cups, right? You have a lot of emotion towards something, a new situation potentially. This is like a very romantic card. It's all about love and compassion. And this might be like a feeling for yourself, right? Feeling like a new sense of like self and love for yourself, putting yourself first, right? Giving yourself the opportunity to feel something new. And that's very exciting for you, right? Like, it's not about worrying about the delays. It's not about worrying about, you know, how difficult things might be. Wands has a lot to do with passion, right? And I feel like you were coming from this place of like having a lack of passion, right? Almost feeling like a sense of greed because the things that you currently want might result in a sense of instability. And the reason why I say this is because it's the number 4 and I get this card in the reverse, right? Like speaking from like a sense of possessiveness, you finally have like found a new feeling that you don't want to give up. And you're kind of worrying like, is this a situation where I might be acting a little selfish, right? Having like everything and keeping it so close to my chest because I want it all, right? Like, I mean, at least that's how I'm taking it. But I do show that you're entitled to like a sense of like happiness and emotional stability, right? Like this is all possible for you. It's possible to have the cups, right? And it's possible to live a life that's built, you know, based off of intuition and emotion. And I feel like that because of the blue, right? I do feel like in a way like this is you kind of like standing your ground and being like, I used my light, I used my intuition, I used my feeling, and I thought with my heart, I thought with passion, right? Which is like the red here, and being like, and I have my cups, and I'm waiting now for my cups to be filled because I've given so much of that I had in my cups in the beginning, right? Like if you think about it, you had all these cups in the beginning, and now you're starting with fresh cups, right? Like if you think about the beginning to the ending of this reading, you had 7 cups, some of them good, some of them bad. And now, although they're empty, you have 9. So although it feels like you might be losing things by gaining 2 more cups, you are gaining something in the end, regardless of whatever that gain might feel like, right? So, and if that doesn't confirm anything, you're going from maybe to yes, right? You're going from something wishful thinking to a sense of emotional stability, satisfaction, right? So grasping your opportunities here and then making more of them. And we have the back turned here, and now he's front facing. So there's only good to come of this. You're going through a really transformative type of energy right now, and all I can say is that if this here by the end doesn't show that you have your guides all around you and that you're filled with light and that they're all here to support you and that they're here to help you make these decisions, I mean, I don't know what other validation you could need, right? Like that's incredible. Working based off of intuition here with all the blue and then transforming it into something bright. I think that's a great way to end your reading here. Going from 7 to 9. So July might be significant for you. Obviously, I know that's your birthday month, but it could be significant for other reasons, or, you know, anything that might resonate with you. Could be like a birthday, could be like a time frame, 7 weeks, 7 months, 7 years. Also the number 9, so something could be meaningfully happening in September, right? Or July 9th. I'm not sure if that's meaningful for you. 7/9, right? So maybe July 9th. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope it was somewhat comforting. It felt very emotional and like somewhat of a roller coaster. And yeah, that's it. Okay. I love you. Bye.